Hello everybody, my name is Zach. Welcome to Percussion with Zach. I hope that everyone's transition during this time is as safe and as smooth as can be hoped for. So, during the course of these lessons, we are going to not only be talking about some basic drum set technique, some ways to hold the sticks. We are going to be talking about ways that we can see musical information written down and talk about how it is that we can transition that notation into the music that we all love to hear. So, before we get started with that, we're going to need to create a common vocabulary set so that when we see the accent patterns that we're going to be working through in probably starting next week, hopefully next week, or maybe the week after that, maybe lesson number 3, we will be able to talk about them. So, in this lesson, I'm going to cover 4 different terms, 4 different musical basics. They are the staff with its names, the measure and bar line, the time signature, and I'm going to introduce the quarter note. So, without further ado, here is the staff. The staff is the place where all musical information lives for the purpose of these videos. The staff is a collection of 5 lines and 4 spaces on which music is written. Along my right, your left hand side, you will see the names for all the lines. They are E, G, B, D, and F. The names for the spaces are then written across like that. They are F, A, C, and E. And while it won't be as important for these videos that you be able to memorize the names that are associated with the staff, it is helpful to know them. It's true. It just is. And an easy way to begin to learn any collection of information is with a mnemonic, or with a word or phrase that helps stimulate your memory. So the mnemonic that I use to remember the names of the lines in a staff is Eeyore's grumpy, but don't fret. That's because the first letter of all those words is the note name that is associated with that line. Eeyore, E, grumpy, G, Eeyore's grumpy, buddy, B, don't, D, fret, F. I'm sure, however, that with some time, you would be able to come up with an acronym or a mnemonic that is way better than that. I challenge you to come up with your own acronym for the letters E, G, B, D, and F. Now, the spaces of a staff are a little easier to memorize because those letters actually spell out a word most of us are familiar with. Face. F, A, C, and E spell the word face. So the names of the lines are E, G, B, D, and F. The names of the spaces, F, A, C, and E. This is our staff. When we see our accent patterns, they will be written on a staff very much like this. However, this staff contains one measure. A measure is a space between two bar lines. The bar lines are the vertical lines on either side of this staff. It is into a measure that the notes that we commonly associate with music are written. Measures are like cups. They need to be filled all the way to the top to be complete. Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but they do need to be full to be complete. Here is another staff, 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and while it doesn't have the names anymore, it does have some new information. You'll notice that I have divided this staff into 2 measures, 1, 2. In the first measure, you're going to see some more musical information. So remember how a measure needs to be full. The way you know that it is full or complete is by observing what is called the time signature. The time signature is written at the beginning of a piece of music. It is 2 numbers, one on top of the other, and it tells you how many beats are in the measure and what note value gets the beat. So let's slow down for just a second and talk about what that means for a moment. So, a beat. The top number tells us how many beats are in a measure. So, a beat is a distinct unit of time. It's true. That's what it is. So for this measure to be complete, we need there to be 4 distinct units of time complete in that measure. For that measure to be full all the way up like a cup. Fill it up. Just like that. So, as you will notice, this measure is in fact complete because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 distinct units of time marked out on it. And I know that these are complete units of time because, ta-da, the bottom number. The bottom number tells us what kind of note completes the unit of time in a beat, or what note value gets the beat. So that is a lot. It's true. But it doesn't need to be so much. It doesn't need to be quite so overwhelming. What it means is that a quarter note, this symbol right here, gets the beat. You will need 4 quarter notes to complete a measure. That is what a time signature tells us. It tells us how many beats complete the measure and what note gets the beat. Top number tells us how many beats complete a measure, and the bottom number tells us what note gets the beat. So for this measure, we know there are 4 distinct units of time, 4 beats in this measure. And we know by the number 4 that a quarter note, as represented by the number 4, gets the beat. So I have filled out this measure for us. It goes da, 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 da. That is what that measure would sound like. Or to use a verbal rhythmic sound for a whole beat or a downbeat, I'm going to say ta, 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 ta. And I will talk about that more next lesson when we discuss eighth notes. However, that is jumping forward into the future, which, as I'm not a physicist, I'm not qualified to do. So, let us stick with what we know, which is writing out rhythms, learning to read those rhythms, and taking that written material from the page to the world, out into the world. So, to review, a staff is a collection of 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is the, what shall we call it? The place, the zone, the world into which music is written. The lines have names. Dun, dun, dun. They are E for Eeyores, G for grumpy, B for but, D for don't, and F for fret. Eeyores, grumpy, buddy, don't fret. Did I say buddy before, or did I say but? I think I said but. Eeyores, grumpy, but don't fret. He's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. That is an easy way to remember the names of the lines. Eeyores, grumpy, but don't fret. The names of the spaces spell out the word face. F, A, C, and E. What do we notice about these quarter notes? They are all written in the space that corresponds to the note F. They're all written in our F space. Well, I'm getting a little complicated here. There it is. Trying to get them to line up. C, the second space from the top. 1, 2. The third space in the bottom, 1, 2, 3, is where the note C would go. When we are writing out notation for the drum set, it is common to write in the C space. So you will see, ha ha ha, no pun intended, that I have written these 4 quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes in the C space. We know that this is a complete measure. Well, this one is not, because of our time signature at the beginning. The time signature is 2 numbers. The top number telling us how many beats, how many distinct units of time exist in a measure. The bottom number telling us what note gets the beat, what note value is responsible for the entire piece of music. For any of the music that you see coming after the time signature, what note value designates one complete unit of time. So, with that, I am going to leave you and say, see you next week. Next week, we will be discussing what happens if you divide a unit of time in half, the world does not explode. It just gets more interesting. All right, until next week, this has been Percussion with Zach. I hope everyone stays safe, and don't forget, music is awesome.